Blended learning. So to me, blending learning is the combination or the combining traditional learning settings, so the face-to-face, that which we are most familiar with online instruction, so coupling it with online instruction. Um, from my personal experience, this concept has been most commonly associated with the concept of like a flipped classroom. So the idea of the teacher creating videos beforehand or material beforehand for students to view before coming to class, kind of like their homework, and as part of this instruction or this prior learning that they're going to do before coming into class, they're going to cover the concepts that are important for application or for the purposes of application while in class during the next class setting. At my own school, this has been successful in our honors geometry class in particular, and I have struggled with how this applies or how this would work in a class setting like my own, which is a history classroom. But there are many benefits to a blended class or to the blended learning model with, focusing on a flipped classroom, including time in class for teachers to best focus on differentiated instruction or reteaching for those students who need it, the ability for students to apply the concepts in a way that allows them to kind of stretch their learning and really engage in some higher order thinking and critical thinking activities. It also allows for, more time for student to student discourse where they can work together to take the material that they learned previously and apply it to their in-class learning with maybe more hands-on experiences or experiential learning. So there are definite benefits to this method of teaching. Some tools commonly used in a blended learning format include personal devices like Chromebooks. So, for example, my school district has supplied schools with Chromebooks that allow one-to-one use, typically in the classroom, although schools have the ability to make the decision that works best for them. So at my school, though, it is in the classroom. So I have a cart of Chromebooks that students are able to use. They are assigned that specific cart during that class period. That specific Chromebook during that class period, and they are able to access all digital material that we use using the Chromebook. There's the use of classroom hosting platforms. So my school district, along with supplying Chromebooks, also supplies access for all teachers and students to software like Google Classroom, which is a really great way to provide a platform for online instruction and education. And so I utilize Google Classroom really quite regularly to provide my students with digital copies of the materials we're using, so that a lot of their focus is actually on completing the work using their Chromebook versus doing it by pen and paper or pencil and paper. This also means that if the students are unable to finish a component of something we've done in class, that they can work on it at home, provided they have access to the internet and a device at home. They can work on any of the stuff that we've began in class at home. Other tools would be things like Google Drive, where students are able to share, upload, access the various products available in the Google Suite, to being able to share with each other. So if they're doing a group assignment or peer editing, they can share with each other their work, and they can provide, really immediate feedback to each other, as well as being able to send it to the teacher, who can also then provide very immediate feedback. So it's also a great tool, and various Web 2.0 tools. So as I was saying, in my experience, I found that if I'm focusing kind of on a flipped classroom, which I think would be the most applicable to what I teach at the secondary level as a middle school social studies teacher, has seemed to be more effective with math courses just because of the idea that there's typically a concrete concept that's being taught with right or wrong answers. And so students have to know how to do a skill as it relates to this mathematical concept and then be able to practice and apply it in class. Whereas in world studies, so social studies, which is what I teach, there's not really kind of this black and white, concrete concept that's being taught that students can then practice in class. We do quite a bit with like historical thinking skills and writing, but it's a little bit different. So for my personal subject area, I find the flipped classroom a little bit more challenging, but I can see where it's probably really effective in different content areas or even within different disciplines within my own content area. I have not found its applicable use for myself as of yet, though I'm always looking for new ways to teach. The other concern I have with this particular method of blended learning is access. So students not having the access they need outside of the classroom, and what kind of limitations that's going to really provide them when they're attempting to complete the work in class if they have not been able to review the material beforehand the way other students have and way it was way it's intended. So that's it, and I thank you for listening.